Uh, First player you auctioned, exactly how did it go through? Were you nervous? What really transpired? Nobody really knew about an auction in cricket in India. Can you give us a little bit of the story, the Richard Madley story of the first player who was auctioned?
Well, the whole concept of auctioning cricketers was unique to the IPL. It was Lalit Modi's idea. He thought it was the fair way to distribute players throughout the franchises by putting a salary cap so that it made it fair to all the franchise owners. But the concept of actually auctioning off players was a first. And I was called in originally by IMG, who were structuring the entire organization, to advise them on the rules and regulations of auctions. I'm a qualified fine art auctioneer. My father was an auctioneer. I understand about the rules and regulations. So I actually helped write the terms and conditions for IPL one player auction. It wasn't my assumption that I would then be invited to come to Mumbai a few weeks later to conduct the auction itself. My initial role within IPL was as an advisor to talking about reserves, increments, the rules and regulations that govern all auctions. So I'd been auctioning probably for 30 years before then. So I was very experienced in auctioning fine art, clocks, jewelry, silver, works of art and paintings, but never having sold a cricketer before, that was a first. And yes, nervous. I was nervous. I still, to this day, before every auction, have that little flutter in the stomach. But I think that nerves are a good thing. It's no different to Virat Kohli. I'm sure before every innings, takes some time to himself, thinks about it, gets in the dressing room and focuses on what's ahead. And you turn that nervous energy, I think, into positive energy, so that when you get into the rostrum, you are giving the impression that you are in charge. And the first player that I recall coming out of the bag that day was Shane Warne. And for Warney, he'd set his base price at 450,000. The story goes, I have it on good authority, that when they were recruiting players to come into the first ever IPL auction, it wasn't actually a very straightforward sell. And the first player that IMG approached was Glenn McGrath, allegedly. And they said to Glenn, would you be interested in coming and playing in this new tournament to be held in India in 2008? And so they were talking to him in 2007. And allegedly he said, yes, I'd be interested. What's the money like? And there was a guarantee of $400,000. So that was pretty revolutionary in itself. So when he signed up, and the next person they called was Shane Warne. And Shane, there's going to be a new cricket tournament being held in India, 6 weeks next year. He goes, yeah. He said, who's playing? He said, McGrath's playing. He said, okay. How much you paying him? He said, 400 grand. He said, right, give me 450. I'm in. And that's how they secured the services of Glenn McGrath and Shane Warne. After that, they could pick up the phone to any cricketer in the world and tell them about this revolutionary new cricketing tournament called the Indian Premier League, where already Glenn McGrath and Shane Warne had signed up. And so, of course, every player wanted to be in that auction. And that's how it all started. And then auctioning on the day itself, when Morley's name came out of the hat, and in those days, we actually had miniature cricket balls, and the miniature cricket balls just had a player number stuck on them. So the first cricket ball came out of the sack with Shane Warne's number on it. Base price 450,000. Now, the unique thing about IPL auctions, over and above any other auction that's held in the world, is that the base prices are public knowledge. They are published in advance. Everybody knows what the base price is, which is not the case at Christie's, Sotheby's, Phillips, or the big sale rooms. The reserve price is normally a confidential figure that is only shared between the player and the auctioneer. But in this case, his base price was $450,000 and so straight in, I asked for the opening bid. Is there $450,000 in the room? And up went the hand of Manoj Badali. Manoj was holding the paddle for the Jaipur franchise. Remember, in that very first auction, the teams had no names. There were eight franchises there, and they were called Bengaluru, they were called Kolkata, Jaipur. In fact, I've got with me today the one of those original paddles, the one that was a true collector's item. This one was presented to me after the auction by the team from IMG, and it's got.
You can auction this one for millions.
Well, maybe there's a deal to be had there. Yeah, indeed, that's a possibility, because remember, this is the most famous gavel in the business. This is the original IPL auction, which I use in every auction.
My hand is up for my museum at some point in time when you decide to give it to a cricket collector who's a tragic. But anyway, go for it.
Well, so the hammer went up and sold. So Warney was sold. Just one bid only, to the Jaipur franchise. And of course, you only got to look back and see how smart that purchase was by Manoj Badali on that day. I mean, it was a risk, a gamble to sign up a player who some would have said was past his prime. And look what Warney did in IPL 1. So he will always hold a special part in my auctioneer's heart.